I was always so miserable during my period, for as long as I can remember. The pain was so severe. I remember not having an appetite, nauseous. It was difficult to stand. It felt like a monthly interruption of my life. It continued for years, an endless cycle of suffering. I had no idea what was wrong with me. Then I was diagnosed with endometriosis.
Endometriosis is a chronic, painful condition of women in their reproductive years. So the condition occurs when the tissue that is normally inside the womb, called the endometrium, gets on the outside. This organ here is the uterus, or the womb, and within it is the endometrium. This is the tissue that is normally shed each month when you have a menstrual flow or a period. And it behaves normally when it flows and you have a period. However, if this tissue flows backwards through the fallopian tube, the structure here, it can land on the ovary, this white structure here, and form endometriotic cysts called endometriomas. It can run down the back of the womb and form deposits here, which can cause pain. The most common symptoms are very painful periods. You may also have infertility and pain during intercourse. Now, if the endometriotic deposits end up in other places, for example, endometriosis has been found in almost every tissue in the body. So it can be in the eye, so rarely. You may have intermittent blindness. It can be in the lung, so you can have shortness of breath, symptoms of a collapsed lung. In the brain, you can have seizures. To diagnose endometriosis, we start with the history of the painful periods. For those patients, we'll ideally do an abdominal and a pelvic examination. The gold standard test is a surgical procedure called laparoscopy. That's where we use a camera, which is inserted in through just below the belly button or the umbilicus, and using powerful lighting sources and optics, we're able to look and examine the pelvis, and then we can see the endometriotic deposits.
My journey with endometriosis began about 7 to 8 years ago when I was trying to get pregnant and couldn't figure out why. Went to the doctor, and after doing several tests, he asked about endometriosis. I'd never heard of it. And he said, well, we do a non-invasive surgery, which is a laparoscopic. They go in through the navel.
By this, we use a camera, as I said, and we use a set of surgical instruments which allow us to enter the abdomen through very small incisions, and we're able to locate the deposits, and we try to excise them or remove them from the pelvis in its entirety.
So I did the surgery, and unfortunately I had what was called a spontaneous abortion. That didn't hold. Tried again a few months later, and I got pregnant. I went to about 5 months, and unfortunately the baby died in vitro. I have not been able to ever get pregnant again.
After making a diagnosis, the mainstay of treatment is going to be dependent on your stage of the disease. So there are medical treatments, so we can use painkillers, oral contraceptive pills, surgical techniques. If you are having debilitating pain, if you're missing school, if you're missing work, then that's not normal and you need to seek the appropriate help. There are specialists who are well trained, both in terms of picking up the symptoms and making the diagnosis, and in terms of treatment. And the earlier you're treated, the better the outcome is likely to be.
I think every woman should get checked, because we've grown up to hear that once you have a bad period, it's a norm. Unfortunately, for those of us who have it, it's not the norm. I started following Shauna Fuller's story and finding out how she found out that she had it. And I offered my services. I said, I want to spread the word. I volunteered. They have a support group. I went there and met with others. And I also got involved in the march. If you find out you have it, join the BASE Foundation. Be a support for somebody. There's nothing better than just that encouraging word, and just know that there's somebody out there who understands.
I can only encourage our women, if any of these symptoms seem to be occurring to you, seek appropriate help through your local obstetrician gynecologist and be referred to a specialist.
If I knew then what I know now, that it had a name, that I wasn't alone, now that you know, don't suffer in silence. Endometriosis affects 1 in every 10 women and girl worldwide. In Jamaica, over 10,000 women are affected by the disease. Many are not aware that they have it.